So, a few days of therapy couldn't dispose my memories of Cinderella 2. Not even Rick Dicker could erase it from my head. And as all of this went on, I stared at my DVD copy and thought, whoa, this is worthless. The only option left for me is to review something good. Should I review The Incredibles? Nah, that's too simple. In fact, let's review a sequel that's not going to appeal to everybody, but is considered one of the greatest Disney sequels of all time. I'm not joking when I call it that. The competition is laughable and well over half of them are insults to their first counterparts. Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, was released in 2007 and is the internet's greatest example that not every Disney sequel went to shit. However, the question is this: is it true, or is it a setup to get me off guard? Let's begin the plot synopsis. The movie starts off back at the castle, and Cinderella is no longer blonde. She's voiced by Jennifer Hale and is living the dream life with Prince Henry, who's voiced by Christopher Daniel Barnes, and is now aware about the mice and the fairy godmother. Anastasia, voiced by Tress MacNeille, follows them who, for some reason, are having a picnic so close to Cinderella's old home. Anastasia finds out about the magic, snatches the wand, and shows her mother and sister. First off, I like this scene.
A stick.
Ooh, let's beat her with it.
The fairy godmother, voiced by Lucy Taylor, who also voices Drizella, spots the family with her wand. But before she can get back, Anastasia shows a DVD cover of Cinderella 2, which turns her to stone. And then, Tremaine had got an idea. An awful, awful idea. She uses the wand to take her and her daughters back in time to before Cinderella's slipper fit her foot. There she uses the wand once more to get the slipper to fit Anastasia, but before Tremaine leaves with her daughters, she has one last haha at Cinderella and smashes the other slipper. A fact I should point out is that Tremaine is voiced by Susan Blakesley, who played Wanda from Fairly OddParents, the evil queen from Shrek the 3rd, and Miss Forcible in Coraline. But realizing that Henry would remember her if he saw her, Cinderella takes Jacques and Gus, voiced by Rob Paulsen and Corey Burton, to the castle to break in. Yeah, Prudence is in this movie too. Can we also appreciate this line?
You think there's only one woman in the whole kingdom who wears a size 4.5?
It's all I have to go on here.
Because Prince Henry realizes that they got the wrong person, Tremaine obliviates him, making him think he danced with Anastasia, not Cinderella. He proposes to her, and the two agree to get married later that day. All of this is witnessed by Jacques and Gus, who inform Cinderella. After a disastrous dance and the stepsisters picking in the Great Hall, the king grows fond of Anastasia because she reminds him of his wife. If you knew her a few days prior, you'd say otherwise. For Anastasia's wedding present, he gives her the exact same seashell he and his wife found, as well as the story of how they fell in love. Because of it, Anastasia starts getting hesitant on the wedding. After creating a mess, Cinderella dresses up as a maid to sneak in the room. It fails, obviously, and instead of turning her to stone, Tremaine has her shipped to Madagascar, banished from the kingdom forever. But after another conversation between Henry and some animals, which he's taking very well, mind you, Henry goes after the ship to save her.
I forbid you to take another step down these stairs!
Okay.
After pulling a Tarzan with the hand thing, the spell is broken and Henry gets his memories back, and instead of reversing time again and having Cinderella push down the stairs or something, Tremaine comes up with another plan to foil the wedding, by disguising Anastasia as Cinderella. Using the wand again, she turns Lucifer human to make sure Cinderella is far away and killed. But like the first plan, that too fails and Cinderella goes to stop the wedding. But after some guilt from Henry and the king, Anastasia says no and Tremaine goes crazy bitch on the kingdom. Henry then pulls a King Harold from Shrek 2 and Tremaine and Drizella dies. Wait, I'm sorry, they don't get killed. They just get turned into frogs. Just like Shrek 2! Happily ever after. Again. The end.
Well, does anyone want to marry my son?
I don't.
So let's talk about the movie. When thinking about it, the plot sounds like some kind of typical DeviantArt story, right? Exactly. The entire what-if subject sprinkled with time travel, villains becoming good, iconic animals becoming human, sort of fits that description. But the bizarre thing is, this actually worked. Now, it's in no way better than the original and it has several problems, but comparing it with all the iffy and bad sequels Disney has released, this seems as if one of the writers in their office was struck by lightning from God himself. A lot more characters are more developed, such as the king, the prince, and Anastasia. Even Drizella shows some unique difference from her sister, giving her far more memorable moments, from her nastiness to her killer replies.
Gee, I wonder if it fits.
Anastasia's redemption is probably the most notable in this movie. When I did the Cinderella review, I noticed that she was the least hostile compared to her sister, almost as if she was trying to fit in this whole time. So it kind of feels like the writers for Cinderella 3 took those tiny details and expanded them.
What's the matter with her? Wake up, stupid! We've got to get dressed.
Something that could have helped with this twist more is if the second movie didn't exist. Or at least the part where Anastasia shows a nicer side. If they didn't reveal a possible nice side in her, it really would have been even more special for this movie and a bigger surprise. Though the character changes does have its downsides, specifically Tremaine. Remember when I said that she doesn't need magic to prove how wicked she is? Well, they ditched that and gave her the wand. To be honest, it makes her more vicious than the other two movies, especially the second movie, but there was something about her not having any abnormal abilities that separated her from most of Disney's villains, such as Jafar, Ursula, and Maleficent. Yeah, that's probably my biggest negative on this movie.
Boo!
On the other side, however, Cinderella is probably the best she has ever been in this movie. It feels as if they actually worked off of the original character, even giving her a moment to step up for herself. She kind of reminds me of a ninja, infiltrating the palace, playing diversions. That's Mulan shit right there. It's so bizarre yet awesome. I also love the expression Cinderella has and how smooth and realistic they are. Although he accepts Mice's story too fast, Henry is even better than the original. Looking back at it, he just dances with a random girl without introducing himself and then wants to bang her. Yet here, he's more loving, quick-witted, and even respectful at times. My opinion on Jacques and Gus's voices are the same as the second movie, but their characters isn't trash like that one. The story of Cinderella 3 is charming, it's unpredictable, it's suspenseful, and the songs are actually sung by the characters instead of some random singer. And since we're on that subject, let's rate the songs from worst to best. In fourth and last place is At the Ball. While it's not the worst song in the Disney sequel, I'm looking at you, Little Mermaid 2, it's the least interesting out of all of these. The best I can say is that it's catchy. In third place, I Do. Honestly wish the song was longer, but it's fine how it is, and maybe Anastasia should be the one singing instead of playing the flute. In second place, Perfectly Perfect Year. It's above I Do because it's longer and is definitely more memorable, more than the song in first place. Again, Anastasia has a great singing voice, especially Cinderella, which brings me to number 1. In first place, So Much More Than a Dream. It was obvious. It has beautiful and stunning vocals, and Cinderella sort of reminded me of Jasmine or Belle. So that was my Cinderella 3 review. It's one of those rare examples that with the creativity and care, you can create something that would define people's opinions till the end of time. I'm giving Cinderella 3 the same as the first movie, a 7 out of 10. So with these sequels and Alice in Wonderland out of the way, let's move on to the next movie on my list that won the poll a few days back. You know him, you love him, it's everybody's favorite ogre.
I saved your life! You didn't save my life, you ruined my dead, that's what